Hey fam, have you ever tried applying for a loan and the bank tells you that your credit is not good enough? Have you applied for credit cards and got denied because of your credit score? What if there was a way that you could just basically borrow another person's credit score to get you approved for loans and credit cards? We all have been there trying to apply for credit cards to start businesses and then business, and because of inquiries or something in your history, the bank only approves for like a $3,000 card or loan. I can't buy a house or rehab a property with $3,000. I don't know about you, but if this is a topic that resonates with you, hit the like and subscribe button. My next guest is going to explain how it is possible to do this very thing and tell you a lot. Let's welcome to the stage my friend Jake Valorant.
What's up, Jose? How's it going?
Good, man. Good. Sorry, having some technical difficulties on my audience here.
It's all good. I'm happy to
How
be
you
here.
doing?
Doing
Glad
good.
to have you, man. It's been a long time in the making in my book.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're here now, and that's all that matters, right?
Exactly. So, Jake, like most of my episodes, I like to start off with allowing my guests to share their real estate journey or their journey up to this point. So, can you share with us, how you got started, why you chose real estate, and what you're doing these days?
Yeah. First of all, I love the name of the podcast. It pretty much that's my journey, right? It's been good. It's been good. It's been bad at times. It's been certainly ugly at times. So I was a Navy veteran, got out at the end of 2017 and worked at a pharmaceutical plant for 5 years. But I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. And so it got to the point where I was like, I don't care how good of a job it is or how much it pays. I want to be my own boss and create something and take a swing, basically. And so that's what I did. I had a little bit of savings. I cashed out my retirement accounts, and I've found Pace and Sub2 online. And I was like, let's just see what happens. And so I joined Sub2 at the end of 2022. Um, Quickly realized that there were a lot of investors who couldn't invest because their credit sucked, and my credit was really good. And so I created a company called Creative Credit Partner where we were doing loan sponsorship as a business, and that was going incredibly well. In 2023, I had built a personal portfolio of over $15 million. Um, I had sponsored for a lot of people, made a lot of money. And so that's the good. The bad is I wake up one morning, my bank account with a certain partner is closed, the money is gone, a little bit shy of $2 million. And so, I was left with just an insurmountable debt load month to month. And it resulted in a lot of foreclosures. I went from a 50 property portfolio or so down to 17. My credit was ruined, right? So that's the ugly side of things. Um, and so there was like a year and a half, maybe lull where I was just trying to stay afloat, figure out what I was going to do next. Um, And then I met a good friend of mine now and my head developer for an AI company I just launched. And now we're back on the up and up. And I have my mojo back. As an entrepreneur, this is what we do. We have to take it with the good, the bad, and the ugly, whether it's in real estate or anything else. And so that brings me to today. New ventures, things are going well. You know, um, I could finally talk real estate again without getting angry. So,
Well, that's a good thing. We don't want you angry.
yeah. It's you learn about a lot about yourself, I think, when things are going wrong. And I think it was in a lot of ways a blessing in disguise. Every uber successful business owner, investor that I know, they have their own war story, some craziness that happened to them. Some of them even worse than what I just told you. So it in my mind now, like I've put that behind me. I've earned my stripes or whatever you want to call it. I've built an 8-figure business once quickly, and now I'm on the verge of doing it again, and it's fun, man.
That's awesome. Most investors, when they get involved in real estate, they usually start small, right? They do wholesaling because there's very little risk, or they do a fix and flip. What made you? I know you said that you saw a need for it, but was there anything else that kind of drew you to? I can make this into a business. Like what made you go start right there instead of like the normal path as other
Yeah,
investors?
that's a good question. Part of it is that I really think that like you have to find your niche or your niche to really get to the uber successful level. Like I've been listening to this book called The Big Leap, and he talks a lot about operating in your zone of excellence, in your zone of genius.
Okay,
And I feel like to really get to the point where you're operating in your zone of genius, you have to be operating in that zone that also like gets you excited and passionate and things like that. So I think every business should be niching down as much as they can. But um, I talked so much that I forgot what the question was.
and no, I mean, that's kind of how you found a niche that
Yeah,
needed to that fit your
yeah.
persona. I would
I
say.
mean, coming in, it was like, okay, what do I have that can start making money right now? And so I had some cash, but I didn't have the knowledge of how to deploy it and things yet. Um, I didn't have the experience piece that lenders are usually looking for.
Sure.
Um, but I had great credit and I had some savings. And so I saw a post. I think that's how it started. I saw a post on Facebook one day about someone needing a credit partner, and I was like, "You can do that." And so I did the first one, and that money hit my account, and I was like, "Whoa, okay." Like now, let me start to really learn about this and create my own sort of system out of it. And so that's what I started doing, and it was going incredibly well. But it was a system that I didn't have a roadmap. Like I was sort of forging that road as we went. And so I made some crucial mistakes along the way, which left myself vulnerable to exactly what ended up happening. Right.
Right.
And so now I'm in the process. So now I consult on these types of transactions all the time still. There's still a huge need out there for it. Obviously, I can't sponsor myself anymore, but I have come up with what I feel is the safest way that you can do loan sponsorship. And I still don't recommend doing it at scale because the thing about loan sponsorship is that if you're doing it correctly and you're being extremely picky about the types of deals you're willing to sponsor and the types of investors you're willing to sponsor for, if you do one or two, your like future you is already set. And then you could sort of like step back and focus on the present. It it's not a strategy that needs to be scaled in order for it to have huge financial implications going forward.
Gotcha.
So there's a lot of stuff I would do different now than when I first started doing that, and that's what I'm helping other people do now to utilize their credit.
So, for the people that are like interested on how that would possible be, because there's a lot of investors like yourself that, um, you know, life happens, things have happened in their past, whether it be like you had a bad partnership, maybe they have gone through a divorce, maybe they lost their job and had to file bankruptcy, so their credit took a big hit. But they're not bad people. It's just a situation happened. So, how would you maybe 10,000 foot level share with people how they could do this if they're looking for somebody, right?
Mhm.
Like, how would they maybe structure a deal so that they can allow somebody to come in? And then if somebody who said, you know what, I want to try that, I got pretty good credit. Let me try one or two, like you mentioned, and see
Yeah.
if I can make that future money. How
Yeah.
would you advise, or what would you tell people?
I would say, first of all, you really have to take your time to figure out what types of properties you want to own or invest in or have in your portfolio in the first place. And if it doesn't meet that, just say no and don't give it another thought. Right. Well, a lot of people I've noticed, especially in the beginning, they're trying to fit the square pegs into the round holes to be able to say, "Hey, I did a deal, right? I did a deal. I made a little bit of money, right?" They're going to post a picture of their check and all that stuff, and that's awesome. But if you sponsor a loan, and it goes with lending too, they say loan to own. You wouldn't lend on something that you wouldn't want to own yourself. You don't want to credit sponsor something that you don't want to own yourself or can't afford on your own if things go wrong.
Right.
Um, because I don't think people realize just how risky loan sponsorship is, even when done correctly. Um, the At the end of the day, ultimately, the responsibility is on that loan sponsor when things go wrong to make that lender whole. And when things go wrong, and they will sometimes, even if we do everything right, things happen out of our control. That sponsor is the person that lender is coming for, to be made whole. So, and you don't really realize how aggressive they're going to be until you're in that situation.
Right.
I'm sure you've heard people talk about something called a non-recourse loan, right?
Right.
And people take that name at face value and think, oh, uh, as long as I'm using my business credit to sponsor this and things go wrong, I could walk away and nothing's going to happen. And I tell people, let's think about this logically for a second. You think there's a loan product out there where they're going to give you this money and say, hey guys, if things don't work out, don't worry about it. Like it just doesn't exist. All that the non-recourse part means is that it's not showing up on your personal credit report. That's it. That is it. If you have a late payment, 30 days late, it's not going to show up on your credit. If that property defaults and gets foreclosed and taken back, you better believe that's going to show up and you're the person that they're coming for. And so the course has a heavy, and my community have a heavy focus on safety first. The most important thing is to not lose money, right? It's not how much you can make, it's how much you can lose. The first thing I think about when I look at any deal is what is the absolute worst case scenario, right? And then what is the best case scenario if things go perfectly? And is that risk worth that reward? A lot of times in loan sponsorship, the answer is going to be no. You'll say, even me, I thought I was being careful because I would say no to 99 out of 100 deals,
Right.
but there's so much more to it than that. And so that's what the course is really going to be about and explain. And those are things that we'll constantly be talking about inside of the community, and just how to stay safe, whether it's in a real estate transaction or any business type of transaction.
So if somebody was considering being a loan sponsor, saying that, like, you know what, Jake don't know what he's talking about. I got this. And they wanted to just kind of push forward because this is their buddy. They know they're not going to mess them up. How would how did you set yours the first time? Did you do a JV agreement, or did you just become the loan sponsor? Like the loan was in your name. How did you structure that deal? The first one that you
Yeah.
did.
Very first, and actually not just the first one, for a while there, the way it would work is I would come on to the person I was sponsoring, I'd come onto their operating agreement to satisfy those needs for the lender, check those boxes. The problem with that is that when things go wrong, there's what recourse or control do you have in that situation? Like we all know, operating agreements get sent to lenders all the time that aren't necessarily accurate of how that business is set up, right?
More comprehensive.
Or comprehensive. And so every time you do something like that, you're taking that risk of ultimately losing control. And that's a scary situation to be in when your credit is tanking, creditors are after you, you're being sued, and you're not even a part of the entity to have any control over what's happening, and you have to just sit there and take it. Not a good position to be in. So eventually I changed it to where each property I sponsored was bought in an entity that I was the only member of. And then we would have either a JV agreement where if everything went well, they did what they were supposed to for whatever it is, 12, 18 months. Then you can get brought into that entity and we'll move forward from there. But if you're not the one controlling the property, um, it's gonna catch up to you eventually.
Gotcha. You mentioned at the beginning of the episode that you're working on AI. Is that AI for everything, or is that AI for real estate specific?
Yeah, we're real estate focused right now because, obviously, a big majority of my network and following and, students and things like that are in real estate. Um, but with AI, anything is possible. So the same tools that we're using to automate AI businesses and companies are the same tools that I'm using when automating a salon for somebody, or when I'm building an app for them from the ground up, just an idea they've had for 10 years that they finally want to bring to life, or whatever it is, they setting up their CRM for them and providing that support, or anything really. It could be done for any niche in any industry in any country, really.
Well, that's cool. And that's already launched.
Yep. So we launched a beta group about 6 weeks ago. And on Friday, on August 1st, we're going to open it up to the first 100 users that sign up um, for the pre launch, I guess you want to call it. And then September 1st, we'll open it up at the normal prices to anybody.
Gotcha. So, we mentioned this at the beginning. You already kind of shared some good and bad, um, or the good side of your transactions, the bad side. Do you own any properties yourself outside of the loan sponsorship?
I do. Yeah. I have also, I started making all that money. And so I became a buyer pretty quickly. And so all of the properties that I have left essentially are just properties I purchased creatively versus, doing the loan sponsor thing.
Gotcha. Nice.
Yeah.
So in your, let's kind of like digging that a little bit. So in your acquisitions of your current portfolio, are they long term, short term, midterm rentals?
Yep. I think we just finished converting the last few midterm rentals that we had over into long-term rentals. And the only properties that in my portfolio that I'm trying to keep, honestly, are the ones that are here in the Raleigh area. And
Okay.
this is probably North Carolina is where I'll buy going forward. And then everything else that's in my portfolio outside of North Carolina, I'm in the process of trying to sell, whether it's cash deals, creative, whatever. But I'm putting all of my focus into, my AI company, my consulting, my coaching community, um, and transforming other people's lives.
Gotcha. In your, do you have property management companies for your rentals right now?
Not for the ones here locally because they're all very close, but
Sure.
yeah, the other ones I always use property management, but I'm trying to take a step back from the landlord role for a minute
Yeah.
and really build this because this is like what I'm doing right now, the coaching and the mentoring and bringing people's visions to life. It's what I really enjoy. Like I love it. And so that's where I want to put my focus, not on, how it is, man. Even with property, you could have the best property management company in the world. It's still going to be a pain in the ass. You're still going to get those 10K surprise repairs in the middle of the night every
Yeah.
once in a while. And especially in the single family game, I think like 40 of those 50 properties were single family, and gosh, it's just, even regular maintenance, you're staying busy.
Right. I don't know about you, but when I've had my single families and their rentals, tenants were nightmares, and then on top of the property management. So, like you, I kind of like got rid of my portfolio and started bringing everything closer to home because it's just
Mhm.
easier to manage.
Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of that lately. A lot of people in the community, I'm seeing posts like, hey, selling all my single families, or hey, selling everything that's not in my backyard.
Yeah.
And I think, people are, it's not that it's hard. It's just very time consuming. And once you've been an investor for a while, I'm sure you were the same way. Like in the beginning, I was like, let me buy every deal that's a good deal where the numbers make sense. I'll buy anything that cash flows.
Right.
And then you build this huge portfolio and you're like, this is annoying. I don't want 50 single family houses, or,
Right.
houses in 10 different states. Um,
Right.
and then you have to adjust, and hopefully you bought good deals and you're able to sell them and make a profit and restructure the way you do things. Um, yeah.
Throughout the episode, you mentioned about your coaching and your AI. If there was something or somebody watching this, because you already shared your good and bad and ugly, if somebody was watching this, say, you know what, I like this guy, he makes sense, and I want to get a part of his coaching program, or maybe just reach out to you to follow your journey, or even better yet, take advantage of your new AI company. How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, for sure. So my handles are right there on my picture. Personal handle on Instagram, it's Jake Villaret, and then at Bizinary_AI for the platform. I don't even know that I explained exactly what the AI company is, but it's a little bit threefold. There's a platform with, I think we have 75 tools, AI tools available now, where business owners can use the tools, DIY, automate what they want to in their business. Um, have a very comprehensive CRM, inbound and outbound voice capabilities, like the whole nine yards. And then the other piece of that is the coaching community that I mentioned, and it's more AI for in business and for entrepreneurs in general than real estate specific. But there are going to be so many different topics that we train on and talk about and things like that. And then the last piece is for my white glove services. There are those investors or business owners out there, they're just too busy to learn this stuff, even if they could, even if they are techie, and they just want, pay us, consult. This is what I want. We go and build it. And we've built everything from apps to websites to chatbots to voice agents to workflows to um, whole custom softwares, businesses from the ground up, everything you could think of, everything done without them having to lift a figure. So it's really, really insane what we've been able to do in such a short period of time. And my head developer has multiple nine-figure exits under his belt with AI and SaaS companies. So he's already built, scaled, and sold. So crazy team we have also.
Proof's in the pudding, right?
Proof is in the pudding. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Jake, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I appreciate you sharing your knowledge and your journey. To the audience, again, if you like what you see, hit the like and subscribe button on there. And if you
Oh,
don't like YouTube, go ahead.
oh, sorry. Before I forget, if you can go to Bizinary.ai and enter your information, you could book a call with me that way. You'll get my calendar link, and be able to learn exactly what it is that we're doing.
Awesome. And for the audience, all that information will be in the description. So don't you worry. You don't have to. I'd love for you to stay here and play it back, but you don't worry about that. It'll be in the description for you to make life easy as always. And again, if you don't like this on YouTube, I'm putting it on Spotify to make it easy for everybody. So until the next time, again, thank you so much, Jake, for coming out.
Thanks, Jose.
See you next time, fam.